So Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz continues to say almost downright sinister things about gun safety, most recently saying that if there were no guns in America, the number of murders would actually go up. Huh? How is that possible? We'll talk about it. Here's the clip. Ted Cruz on his, I guess he has a podcast now called Verdict. It's a very weird and deranged program. But let's listen to what Ted Cruz had to say. See if you can make sense out of this.
Taking away every firearm that Michael Knowles owns would not have stopped this psychopath from murdering children in Uvalde. And by the way, we see that in Chicago and New York and D.C. and California, where they have very strict gun control. Yeah. And the criminals still have guns and still carry out murders. If you could wave a magic wand and eliminate all firearms in America, there would be substantially more murders than there are today.
That is an absolutely nutty comment. If you could wave a magic wand and eliminate all firearms in America, there would be substantially more murders. Think about it on an incident by incident basis. Imagine this particular shooter in Texas. The shooter maybe would have killed someone, but the odds are that without a gun, he doesn't kill nearly as many people. I've never heard of an incident, to go back to our earlier Good Liar segment, where someone kills 20 people with a hammer. I've never heard of an incident in which police, armed police, I assume in Ted Cruz's vision, the police still have firearms, where armed police don't go in to confront a knife wielding attacker for 80 minutes because they're afraid. I've just never heard of that. Now, remember, we're doing imaginary stuff. If you could wave a wand, and if waving the wand actually eliminated all the firearms, how on earth would there be more murders? It is a logical impossibility. Now, it's also important to remember that the rate of firearm homicides per 100,000 people is off the charts in the United States. You look at what we're putting this up. This is from the IHME. In the U.S., the rate of firearm homicides per 100,000 people is just over 4. You then have Chile just under 2, and then a whole bunch of countries at either 0.5 or lower. You know, a lot of these places, Spain, 0.13 firearm homicides per 100,000 people. The UK, which has very strict gun control, 0.04 firearm homicides per 100,000 people. The major difference is we have the most guns. Now, do a lot of these countries have better access to mental health care? Yes, many of them do. Do many of these countries not have the toxic and depraved American gun culture? Yes, many of them don't have that. But the biggest difference is the number of firearms in the civilian population per capita. And you see the outcome of that in the rate of firearms homicides. And the major difference is we have the most guns. Apply Ted Cruz's logic to almost everything else. Well, if you eliminated all cars, you would end up with more traffic fatalities. Well, hold on. How would that work? That doesn't make any sense. Maybe if you eliminated all cars, you'd end up with, I don't know, more deaths from heart attack because there'd be no vehicles to take people to emergency rooms. Oh, okay. Well, that's plausible, and we could explore whether it's true. And much the same way, if you waved a magic wand and eliminated all guns, maybe the number of murders from other things would go up, but relative to the number of murders that can so easily be done with high-powered firearms, the number of murders would certainly go down. And at this point, they're not even thinking realistically in any way. We're not operating in the real world anymore. And they will say absolutely anything.